In a book about leadership, there was one to illustrate a point. The author imagined that a synagogue could possibly put a recruitment advert on a local newspaper saying this. So imagine a recruitment advert for a synagogue's rabbi. The synagogue is looking for an enthusiastic, knowledgeable, charismatic rabbi who would inspire our community to stay exactly as it's always been. And I think most of us would agree that development and forward-looking is impossible without change, without some change at least. And change, I think, is intrinsically linked with and one cannot accept change without acceptance of difference and diversity. Many Jewish texts represent a simple but not very obvious concept, especially for us today. There can be different, often opposing, often seemingly mutually exclusive views, but yes, both can be right. Babylonian Talmud has a famous legend to illustrate this point. And it is about two famous schools, Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, the school of Shammai and school of Hillel. And it's attributed to Rav Abba, who stated in the name of Rav Shmuel. For 3 years, there was a dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, the school of Shammai and the school of Hillel. The former saying, the halakha is in agreement with our views. The later saying, no, the halakha, the Jewish law, is in agreement with our views. For 3 years. It's a long time. Then Bat Kol, a heavenly voice, came out and said, it's fascinating that Talmud has these characters, Bat Kol, heavenly voice, right? And said, both opinions are the words of the living God, but the halakha is in agreement with the ruling of Beit Hillel. If both, and then Talmud asks, very good question, I think. Well, if both are the words of the living God, what was it that entitled Beit Hillel to have the halakha fixed in agreement with their ruling? And the answer is because they were kindly and modest. They were kind and modest. They studied their own rulings as well as those of Beit Shammai, and were even so humble as to mention the actions of Beit Shammai before theirs. There is an important Jewish principle. Even though there has to be a decision made, you have to listen and study the other side and deeply understand the points who disagree with you, points of people who disagree with you. A few days ago, the president of the Board of Deputies, attending the conference of Conservative Party, has urged the British government to move its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And Mary van der Zyl told the Conservative Friends of Israel in a reception on Sunday, and I quote, "We are really hopeful that the government is going to move the embassy," meaning from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, like America, to Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. Well, my personal first reaction, as I know would be the reaction of many other members of the LJS and many other Jews in this country, was discomfort. what does it mean to say with confidence that British Jews want the British embassy to move to Jerusalem? This is a clear sign of taking sides. By moving embassy from neutral Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, the city that many religions claim to be their center and holy place, the Board of Deputies sided with Israelis rather than Palestinians, for example. In my world, in my Judaism, such positions need to be taken very, very carefully. How many people were consulted about this statement? What does it mean for the Board of Deputies of British Jews to issue such strong positions on behalf of all British Jewry? Are they sure that all British Jews are in favor of such move? I know that many of our members would probably vote against it. This week's Torah portion has the following verse, and I think it's an important verse. The Torah portion is Ha'azinu. It's just one chapter, but a very long poem, a song of Moses, a poem that Moses delivered at the end of his life. Let my teaching drop as rain, my words descend like dew, like showers on new grass, like abundant rain on their tender plants. Sifrei, a collection of commentaries on Numbers and the book of Deuteronomy, dating back to the Mishnaic time, the 2nd, 3rd century of the Common Era, has the following understanding of these words, of this verse. They said, let my teaching drop as rain. What does it mean? Just as the rain is one thing, yet it falls on trees, enabling each to produce tasty fruit according to the kind of tree it is. The wine in its way, the olive tree in its way, and the date palm in its way. So the Torah is one, yet its words yield scripture, Mishnah, laws, and many other beautiful texts and teachings. Like showers on new grass. What does this mean? Just as showers fall upon plants and make them grow, some green, some red, some black, some white, so the words of Torah produce teachers, worthy individuals, sages, the righteous and the pious. Well, what Torah doesn't say, that it also produces different kind of people, right? So the words of Torah, the same words, produces different kind of people. It's important for us to understand that the Jews are different. We can have different views, and to be honest, we should have different views. Left and right, Zionist and anti-Zionist, secular, progressive, orthodox. But yet, these and these are the words of the living God. And sometimes it's really hard to accept this, that these and these are the words of the living God. Mishnah Sanhedrin has a beautiful metaphor. When a human being makes many coins from the same mint, they are all the same. God makes everyone in the same image, God's image, yet none is the same as another. If we are so different, how can there be unified voice of Jews at all? How can there be a unified voice of British Jews? It is a difficult question, and the recent Board of Deputies statement is a good demonstration, a good example of this dilemma that we should have. I think it's important to represent an opposition view to this statement and to be firm in our pursuit and our vision of justice for both Israelis and Palestinians, our version of Judaism and our vision of peace and coexistence. And yet, at the same time, it's essential to remember that these and these are the words of the living God. Not to turn to hatred or violence, not to use rude and abusive language when arguing your way. At the end of the day, we are the same people, the same family. Let's hope that all of us will do our best and make Jewish teaching drop as rain. The words of Torah descend like dew, like showers on a new grass, like abundant rain on tender plants. And let's be kind and modest. Let's try to study all views and be humble enough to mention the views of others before our own. And let's hope that all Jews and all people will do the same. Shabbat Shalom.